Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video, Blizzard have caved into the community pressure for patch 8.1. They're announcing some of the changes that the community have been asking for a while. I don't think it's a surprise that there's definitely been some negativity around Battle for Azeroth, and most of it I think are people that are unhappy with parts of the game that would rather be playing World of Warcraft, but they don't like the way it is right now. It's not really people wanting the game to completely die, but there's definitely certain issues that I think are integral to the game, and there's a lot of them. One of them being the RNG and the Azerite trait gear system. I'll be honest, I don't know anybody who loves this system. The Azerite traits are an okay as a replacement for the AP weapons, the legendaries, and the tier sets, but definitely not a perfect one. They're definitely a far way to go, and Blizzard can do a lot more in regards to making the system better, making it what we want it to be, giving it the customization. And it felt like there was some customization before they started nerfing every trait under the sun, where triple traits of certain stacks just weren't viable anymore. But the biggest problem with the Azerite traits was the RNG behind how you get them. There's currently two ways to get Azerite gear. One of them is being through raids with the normal values of running into a boss, killing the boss, and having the RNG whether you get it or not on personal loot. And other people are only able to trade those pieces after they have gotten their initial one. So it's not something where in the Master Looter for the guild raid run you can customize and outfit everybody so that the group benefits, but rather it's all about waiting a couple of weeks until everybody has gotten a 370 into the shoulders, chest, and head slot, and then maybe you might be able to have more chances for loot, which prolongs the experience, and the main crux of it is the RNG. The second part of how people have been gearing is through Mythic Plus dungeons, but Mythic Plus doesn't offer you at the end of the run a Azerite piece of gear. You can get trinkets, weapons, and everything in between, and generally most of those pieces of gear are better than the raid counterparts, but the only thing that the raids had over Mythic Plus is the Azerite gear. The only way to essentially get Azerite pieces of gear at the end of a Mythic Plus dungeon is to do your tents for the week and then hope that at the end of the run in your Mythic Plus chest, you will finally get a piece of gear. This system wasn't really that satisfying because it really came down to a chance. So no matter how many Mythic Pluses you ran, if you ran your 10s, 11s, 12s, 15s, no matter if you timed them or didn't, it was simply up to random chance whether you got them or not. I can definitely confirm that I have had those moments where I've been tilted because I run like a 9 on my Death Knight and I get a 370 chest to my Rogue, and then I try to get 10s and 11s down my Rogue and I get some kind of crappy bracers with Master on it. Definitely doesn't feel satisfying whatsoever. It also feels like there's a bit too much RNG with the game overall, and it's not just that everything is based on RNG, but too many things that are important in regards to gear and the satisfaction are tied to a random chance. So it doesn't feel like you earn things, it doesn't feel like you work for things, it feels like you are either rolling a die or flipping a coin, whether you get the loot you wanted or not, and it's more a feeling of relief once you get it, rather than a feeling of satisfaction and earned. So Blizzard is taking steps to add a brand new system of Azerite currency from Mythic Plus dungeons. The Mythic Plus dungeons will have their own currency which you will use to work towards that specific set of gear, or to simply replace at random a shoulder piece, chest piece, or a head piece. First, we're adding a new and yet unnamed currency, which you'll earn from your weekly Mythic Plus chest, as well as from scrapping or disenchanting epic quality Azerite armor. This currency is rewarded in addition to the item in the chest, which can no longer be an Azerite piece. The item in the chest at the end of the week, it means. And the amount you'll earn will scale up based on the highest level keystone you've completed. For example, completing a level 10 keystone will reward you about 3 times as much as clearing a level 7. Similarly, scrapping higher item level Azerite pieces will give you significantly higher amounts of this currency than lower level pieces. So essentially, you'll be able to get your Mythic Plus dungeons. The better the key, the more currency you'll earn. Also, it seems that with other Azerite pieces of gear, whether you got them from World Quests or M Plus drops or normal Mythics drops or in raids, you could take that gear into a scrapper and get you currency if that piece of gear doesn't have any trades that you will actually functionally utilize. I don't know exactly if that system will be abused, because I can imagine someone storing up a bunch of Azerite gear starting now and then waiting for 8.1 and seeing if they can scrap a bunch of like 340s, 370s from different types of sources that they can get. I am going to try this myself to see how this is going to work, but I'm pretty sure Blizzard will have safeguards against something like that. Overall, I think this is good, but now it's a question of how do you spend that currency. To spend that currency, we're bringing an old friend back, Thaumaturge Vashin, and he'll have 2 main types of items for sale. The first are caches that reward a random dungeon azurite armor piece for a given slot: helmet, shoulders, or chest. They will be separated by item level as well: 355, 370, 385, with higher item level caches requiring significantly more currency to purchase. This tells us that it's not going to be like, hey, here's the cache, and you'll get either a head, shoulder, or a chest, but you'll be able to say, okay, what I need to replace with my gear, I have a 340 headpiece. I don't really care what kind of headpiece I want to get. I just want to spend my currency now. I'm just going to get a cache for a headpiece. The headpiece itself will be random, but at least you can specify which slot you want to upgrade. So somebody just starting out in the expansion is going to be able to say, okay, I just want to get my gear to 355. And then when they get full 355, they can go to 370 because they'll have better gear in order to take on more challenging content and maybe even harder dungeons, and so on until they reach 385. But Blizzard went a step further. We recognize that with 6 or more options per slot, this may not be enough to control for high-end players who want to be able to work towards a specific piece that perfectly complements their build. Thus, Vashrin will also offer item level 385 versions of the specific dungeon azurite armor pieces for each class, sold at a premium. So what this means, you'll essentially be able to work towards a specific piece of gear with specific azurite traits. You decided maybe a shoulder from Freehold, or maybe a chest piece from Tol Dagor, or a headpiece from Atal Dazar is exactly what your build needs. It's exactly what you want. And you'll be able to get a 385 version of that exactly as it is. So you'll be able to directly work towards a goal. This is one of the things that a lot of people have been asking for because of that dissatisfaction that the RNG can sometimes bring. Mythic Plus players of all skill levels will now have a clear path to upgrading their Azurite slots. High-end Mythic Plus players will have a way to target specific Azurite pieces to optimize their setups. Duplicated or unwanted Azurite pieces from other sources, such as raiding, now have some additional value. The piece of gear in your weekly chest will have more reliable item level. I have to say, all these things are great, but as always, all these things have been great on paper. I feel that a lot of things that Blizzard comes up with, like for example in Legion, the stat templates were amazing on paper. In actuation and implementation, they were garbo. The idea of legendaries was good on paper, but the fact that they were so RNG just wasn't as exciting. And when you could specify exactly what piece of gear you wanted towards the end of Legion, when you could actually buy certain sets, certain pieces of gear, I thought it was a little bit better. So this is a good change overall. I'm just hoping that Blizzard doesn't mess it up. I guess it's going to be always a question of how much currency will we actually need? How much of a grind is this going to be? Or is this going to be something that will be actually achievable? You know, I guess we'll just have to wait and see by patch 8.1. So we can actually test this stuff out, and I'll be there on the servers testing this stuff as soon as it's available sometime next week. But overall, if I just want to drop all the negativity from here and just kind of relax, this is a good idea. Because I will be honest, it was a little bit discouraging to do Mythic Plus dungeons and cap at 10s and try to go higher so I can get my rated IO score better, so I can learn better as a player to do all these Mythic Plus dungeons and get crap loot for a couple weeks straight. It definitely did kill a lot of the drive that I had for the game. But to know that there will be always a piece of gear that I can work towards for a long-term goal, and then I'll get some RNG stuff along the way, I feel like that's a lot better. I feel like if Blizzard applies this approach for a lot more items and a lot more aspects in this game, this will be good. But this also raises a question, will they apply this to other aspects? Like, for example, PvP. Back in the heyday, we used to use honor points and conquest points to specify which pieces of gear we wanted. Blizzard did state that in PvP, you do have a guaranteed piece of gear when you cap out on your conquest. At the end of the week or for the week, it gives you what type of gear you're going to get when you cap out your conquest. And generally, the problem with that is the gear that you're getting for PvP is of a lower, much lower item level than where you're usually at. It starts out at 355, and no matter what your rating is, whether you are the best of the game, 2K, 1800, or just starting, that piece of gear at the end of that conquest cap for the week is always going to be 355 item level, which means if you're trying to unlock the appearance of that piece of gear, I guess it has some value, but when it comes to getting a better item level and gear progression, it doesn't help. The only way to have any kind of gear progression currently in PvP is by running arenas and getting lucky with the gear drops that you do end up getting, because all of it does come down to RNG. You have to queue into arenas and win games, and depending on your rating at the time, you will be able to have a chance at getting rewarded with different pieces of gear. The higher your rating, the higher the item level is going to be. So essentially that is still RNG, and I wonder if Blizzard is making all these changes to Mythic Pluses in order to eliminate a lot of the RNG and give people direct goals to work towards. I wonder if they'll apply something similar to this in PvP, in order to maybe use the conquest points instead of getting whatever gear you get at the end of the week, still have a weekly chest from getting your caps out for the rest of the conquest, but also have a vendor where once you have enough conquest as a currency in order to be able to work towards a certain piece of gear, certain trinket, certain Azurite piece even that is just for PvP. I think it'll be an interesting idea, and I wonder if Blizzard will actually go and implement it. I think the chances of that are a lot higher since they are implementing the Mythic Plus change, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about this brand new change? Does this make you excited about BFA and the future of it, or do you think this is just a response to negativity about the game that's mostly there just to patch a few holes but not really fix the issue as a whole? Let me know in the comments below, what are you guys thinking? Also, do you think that they should apply this type of system in PvP as well? Should they take out the whole RNG aspect and add a vendor for PvP so you can now work towards a goal even in player versus player content? Let me know all that in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.